The single biggest mistake you can make while cold calling is to do research beforehand. I'm going to give you 3 reasons why you should never do even a second of research before making a cold call. Reason number 1 is that you are wasting your time when you're most likely going to have a sub 6% answer rate anyways. I've made more than 70,000 outbound cold calls, and the single biggest mistake I made when I first started, that I do not repeat now that I'm a professional, is I was sitting at my desk as a sales development rep, brand new rep. I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, I need a script. I don't know what to say. I'm worried they're going to tell me no, blah, blah, blah. I was finding reasons why I should not take action, why I should not pick up the phone. I was allowing fear, uncertainty, and doubt to influence my decision making. It manifested in, let me check my CRM Salesforce for more information. Let me check out the prospects, the LinkedIn page. As a matter of fact, yeah, they got a website. Let me go check it out. You're doing all of this research when they're most likely not going to answer the phone regardless, all right? And it's like a fire burning, right? And the longer you wait between idea and action, I got to make calls, I got to get pipeline, and actually making the calls. The longer you wait, the more the flame will continue to burn within you. And there comes a point where you reach your breaking point and you really just talk yourself out of calling to begin with. Whereas when you have the idea and you take immediate action, you don't overthink it, you just press call while it's ringing, then you figure out what to say. It's like putting a cup on a candle and removing the oxygen from the fire and igniting action and success and results. Because the only way you can set a meeting on a cold call is to get someone on the phone, and the less prep you do, the more likely you are going to be to get someone on the phone. The counter to this is, well, Trent, if I do more research beforehand, it's going to increase my likelihood of potentially setting the meeting because maybe I'll have a better talk track, right? That could be true. But the second reason why you should never research before making a cold call is because each call requires a custom script based on the buyer persona you're calling and the industry their organization operates within. To close the loop on the initial story I introduced you to, when I was a brand new SDR in software sales back in 2018, I was sitting at my desk doing all this research, finding reasons not to make calls, and the more senior SDR next to me, she said, Trent, what are you doing? I said, I'm doing research so I can set some meetings. Really, I was scared. And she's like, that's a mistake. Just press call and figure out what to say while it's ringing. This approach forced me to understand a script that is customizable, that will mold given the situation in the way the call unravels. So for example, when you think about water going down the side of a mountain with rocks, the water is going to find creases to continue down the mountain, erode the land. It's not going to stop. It's the same thing with a call. You do not need to know what to say. You just need to get on the phone and you will figure out what to say. And you need a script that at least can point you in the right direction. So I always say, hey, this is Trent from Penn. How are you? Great. The reason I'm calling you specifically is I noticed that you were a sales rep, and I actually work with other sales reps to help them to write better lines in different colors with this pen. Are any of those outcomes top of mind for your team? Boom. You've got them right where you want them. They're going to say, yeah, I need a pen. Okay, well, we've got these pens. They're great, precision tip. Since it sounds like this is a priority for you, I'd like to set up a brief introductory meeting to talk about how we can help. The takeaway from that is all you need to do is know an opener that you can use, and then you can customize the rest of it based on the buyer persona. If I'm calling an HR professional, which is what I do, I have a specific talk track and outcomes that I know they care about. And I'm always saying, the reason I'm calling you specifically is I noticed that you oversee HR. I happen to work with other HR leaders to help them to achieve X, Y, Z. Any of those top of mind for you, you know that they're going to be top of mind for them, and that's going to build credibility and allow you to get into your pitch. If I call a finance leader, which is what I also do, hey, the reason I'm calling you specifically is I noticed you lead finance. I happen to work with other finance leaders like yourself to help them achieve boom, boom, boom. How does that resonate with what your team's focused on? Oh, it does. That's amazing. Let's get right into it. based on your understanding of your unique buyer persona and the type of company they operate within, the industry they operate within, you need to be fast on your feet. You need to have a few tidbits of information, but you always start with that opening line to bridge yourself in the call, and then the rest of the call will play out however it's meant to. We talked about your answer rate, probably going to be less than 6%. A good set rate, between 10 and 15%. So just put this in perspective and you'll realize I got to press call more and worry less about doing research beforehand because it's probably not going to matter. The third reason never to do research before making a cold call is you actually want to do the research at a different phase. You want to do the research during your territory planning. I've got an account list of 823 accounts. I have exhaustively, not a word, extensively gone through that list and identified the top 53 companies that I need to be prospecting. Before I add any prospects to sequence, I understand the industry. I understand the employee count. I got a sense of revenue. I know what they're doing. I know how they make money. I understand if they meet a certain list of criteria that I am looking for that would be a good use case for the solution I'm selling. Once I have this information and I've done a bit of prep research on the account, I can then begin adding prospects to sequence. When I add a prospect to my sequence to prepare to call them, I'm always going to indicate in their name so that before I press call, I can see what is their time zone, because I don't want to call people at weird times. I'm calling all time zones. And then I'm also putting any unique identifier information, such as LO for lost opportunity, or perhaps certain criteria like they're hiring in XYZ country, because that's what I'm trying to ultimately help them with, global hiring. So I'm going to be able to say, hey, the reason I'm calling you, notice you oversee this, and that y'all are hiring, and boom, boom, boom. How does this resonate with your team? Boom. They're going to say, oh, they've done their research. So you want to do some research on preparing your account list so that the people you are even trying to call in the first place are from the right accounts that stand the most benefit from your solution. And then when you are adding them to your sequence, that is when you do your basic surface level research on time zone and any really important information that you can artificially warm the conversation up with. In today's video, we covered why doing research before making a cold call is the single biggest mistake that you can make in sales, and the 3 reasons why. Number 1, you're wasting your time. You're going to have a low answer rate to begin with. Number 2, you have a script that is adjustable based on whoever you're speaking with, regardless. You don't need a prep to know what to say. And then thirdly, you're doing research, but at a different stage because it's more efficient to do all that research at the account level so that you're not worrying about each individual prospect while making the cold calls. Press call and figure out what to say while it's ringing.